Okay, so you can see the map here.
Yes.
This was the first fort which they built over here.
Yes.
Five-sided pentagonal fort. This was built between 1878 until 1880. Okay, and the guns used to be basically, there was one here, which is on that side over there.
Yes.
One on this wall over here, you can see that's the mounting.
Yes.
And one, this, and one in this corner over there.
Yes.
And then in 1905, they built an extension to the fort, which is down here.
And it's the two new.
And those are the two 9.2-inch guns.
Yes.
Similar to the 80mm Krupp guns, basically.
Yeah, it was very big.
Yes, yes. So now, because we are here, you can go down
Yes.
and see. Down here there are two rooms basically where they used to have the shells for the 6-inch guns. So here there's empty rooms. One shell was where they used to store all the ammunition. The other was the shifting lobby where they used to prime the shell, make it live, then they bring it underneath over here with block and tackle.
Yes, there's the elevator.
No. Everything
No.
by hand. Okay. So they used to bring up the shell over here.
Yes, it's manual.
Yeah, I put that. 4 soldiers would carry the shell towards the back of the gun.
Okay.
The gun was over here.
Yes.
A 12,000 kilo, 12-ton gun behind a wall, on barbette, the French term,
Yes.
hidden behind the wall, with the barrel pointing out. And when they wanted, basically, they would wait for the orders from the battery commander who would be in the passage over there, and they would fire out towards the seaside. Come from
Yes.
here so you can see. We are now about 132 meters above sea level, about 420 feet. As you can see, you have the lovely view
Yes.
of all Malta beneath you. Okay, so this is Gozo all the way up there. Gozo, Melilla, St. Paul's Bay, Haura, coming down towards Salina, White Rocks, going towards Pembroke, St. Julian's, Slema. And if you go to that corner, you can see all the way to the other side of Malta, to Marsa Scala, Marsa Schlock. Valletta is just 2.5 miles down from here.
Yes.
So the guns of this fort. The first 3 guns here, the 6-inch guns, were not very powerful. Even though they used to weigh 12,000 kilos, 12 tons, they could fire a shell maybe about 8,000 yards, maybe about just a bit before that tanker over there.
Yes.
The ships at the time were getting bigger and stronger and staying further out to sea with bigger guns, and they never had any guns to fire out at the ships. So they had to make bigger guns within this fort. The fort was not big enough, so they built an extension of the fort down here, and they put in these 2 9.2-inch gun emplacements. The 9.2-inch could fire a shell literally 30-40 miles halfway from Malta to Sicily, beyond the range of sight. The guns could swivel around and fire all the way up to the Malta-Gozo Channel, up to the Melilla Bay, St. Paul's Bay, where they always thought the enemy were going to come. Okay?
Yes.
That's about that. Now, if you want to see undergrounds, as you wish. Okay?
Yes.
So,
Yes, we do that.
this used to be a passage which we have opened up, which it used to go through, and there used to be steps going down to the guard room in the front of the fort where the main door is.
Yes.
And the guards, instead of staying here behind the guns when there was nothing what to do, they would stay inside the guard room and sleep over there. When they wanted to arm the guns and fire at the enemy, they would use the passage over here, up the stairs coming through here, and work on the guns. There were 12 people on this gun, some used to work down, some used to work on top. So let's go down to the ammunition store.
Yes. All right.
I should put it there.
That's far. That's a long way down.
All underground,
Yes.
built in the solid rock.
I had a problem with the batteries.
We are in the 6-inch shell stores, okay?
Yes.
Basically, there are 2 lifts. One over there where we were before,
Yeah.
and one on this side, because there were 2 6-inch guns above us, and they used to be supplied with the shells from this particular room over here. You can come and see.
Yeah.
Sorry, but they're in training all the time. Now it is just an empty room. Before it used to be full of ammunition shells, big ones like this, all stored over here. Okay?
Yes.
The lighting used to come from these windows.
Okay.
These used to have a particular glass, reflective glass. Okay?
Yes.
And they would put a lantern over here, and they would have to have just enough light for them to see, to know what they were doing.
Yes.
So what would happen? They would have the shells here. They were dead shells. They weren't live. When they wanted to fire them, they would put them on this cart. No longer exists. Okay, and they would get the shell all the way outside.
Yes.
Okay?
The carrying is?
Not carrying it, on wheels.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Because they were very heavy. Okay?
Yes.
Either take it towards here. There's water with silk. Okay. Okay.
Yes.
From here,
Oh,
go
yes.
up to where we were before.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Towards the back of the gun, and then it will be fired. It will be fired out. That's
Yes.
the main idea. In here this was a room which used to keep all the light rifles. Okay.
Okay.
As it was. Okay.
Yes.
So, this is just an idea of how they used to keep the rooms with all the shells.
Okay.
They were on wooden. Unfortunately, no photos exist. You know, very, very little, because cameras were limited, not like that nowadays. Okay, but we'll try to explain the weather. There's no tell. Okay, this was the story, this is the weather. This was another store, basically. Okay, A1, A2. Mentioned over here, a shelf store.
Okay,
and
yes.
The shelf from here would come out from here,
Yes.
underneath here, and out they would go.
Ah, that's the other one.
That's it.
Yes.
A very interesting story are these. Okay?
Yes, yes.
So, I'll explain. The gunners who used to operate the guns over here, they would, when they come into here, have the normal clothing. Now, when a gun or even a pistol or a rifle is fired, even nowadays, without you knowing, you have what is called gun residue, gun powder, which comes on your hair, on your clothes.
Yes, yes.
Now that, if rubbed together, it will cause a spark. And they would never want that. A spark would happen within these areas, because all the place would blow up. So, these were here, the gunners who would be working on the gun on top. And then they would, and if the gunners come down to operate on the shells to make them live, they would have to remove their clothing, because there would have been that gun residue on them after the gun would have been fired. Remove their boots or anything with metal on them, make sure they had no matches or anything which could cause a spark, no metal, put their clothing on here, and then they could work on the shells to make them live.
Yes.
So there was a very strict system of who could enter and how they could enter.
And no smoking.
No.
There's a problem everywhere where there's fortination.
I heard a very interesting story. I don't know how true it is, but this is not normal paint. When it was this black material is caused by animal bones, which are crushed and then burnt, and with the black powder they actually make these. And I want to find somebody who can restore them and get them back as it is. So,
Yes. Very interesting.
you can switch off and we go in the long one, in the big one now.
Yes.
Save the battery.
Oh, quite a staircase. This.
Yes, I know.
But human life was not so expensive that time. It belongs to every country.
So first I'll just take you up here so you will see the other side of Malta with one.
Yes.
And then you can go down here.
Yes.
These were with the guns around Malta, how they could fire, how far and how and everything. Okay.
Yes.
The range. So, you have to imagine putting yourself back 100 years time. There was no mountain of rubbish over there, that is Malta, it was all flat over there, that is Malta's rubbish of the last 40 years, unfortunately. And if you go to that side, again, there were no trees whatsoever. So they had a completely free view and range.
Yes.
Now Valletta is just behind the buildings over there, 2.5 miles away. Valletta had all the British ships inside it. It was the most important place.
Yes.
This is before aeroplanes. We're talking of between the 1880s and up to World War I.
Yes.
Okay. So to protect the Grand Harbour, they always thought the enemy would come from the northern side. Okay, from either Melliha or St. Paul's Bay.
Yes, yes.
And they would come from the back of the Grand Harbour and destroy the shipping. So to prevent it, that is why they built all this line of fortifications. At first it was called the Northwest Front, and then in 1899 they changed the name to the Victoria Lines.
That Victoria Line, yes, yes, yes.
But that became the Victoria Lines in 1899.
Yes.
Before it was called the Northwest Front, and there were 4 fortifications. There was one just below those buildings over there called Fort Pembroke. Then there was Fort Madelena. Fort Mosta was over the hill over there, and then there was Fort Pingemma at the other extreme of the island, just 7 miles across. Besides these 4 fortifications, then they built a continuous wall all across Malta, and where there were valleys they used to build stop walls and anti-gun positions, etc., etc. And the idea was that each day the British troops would go with their horses up and down, making sure that the line was completely secure so that the enemy could not come from that direction and destroy the British shipping in the harbour. Okay?
Yes.
So, switch off.
Oh.
Be careful.
Yes.
Be careful, that's right. Okay.
Oh. I'm sorry.
No, nothing. Nothing. Just be careful, okay?
Yes.
You can get that. Okay. So here you can just see the tracing. There was another 6-inch gun emplacement
Yes.
in the 1880s. In the early 1890s, they also had here a disappearing gun. So it was a gun which used to go up, the barrel used to point outwards, used to shoot, then they would load the gun,
yes.
so they would not see it again.
Yes, I
It
know,
was
I know
so
that system.
Yeah, it was
Yes.
so expensive to run, and they had so many problems with it. All the time parts were breaking. Remember, Malta, we have no natural resources. If something breaks, they had to send the ship from Malta all the way up to Great Britain, have the part made or fixed or repaired, and come down again. So then they scrapped it, and then they made 6-inch guns, typical 6-inch guns which the British had, which were much more popular, which were much more stronger, sturdier, and all that. Okay.
Yes.
Here is where the soldiers. Sorry about this, but
Yes.
the rain. Okay.
Okay. We just walk here.
The room used to stay. Okay, when it was raining or cold weather or whatever.
Yes.
The room, interesting also. Careful.
Yes.
Cuts.
Not so dangerous.
Okay, these are very interesting, you know, just what they used to make them, you know, for like air conditioning. Again, here's for the light.
Yes.
Where the soldiers used to stay ready. And here was just like
Okay.
everything room for them. Okay, this was where they used to stay when it was bad weather or cold and they weren't needed. But when they had to fire the guns from here, if they were, I'm sure there was furniture here, they had bunk beds and they could also rest here. But when they were needed, they would go out of here towards the gun, get up the shells, wait for the order to fire, and out the shell would go.
Okay, yes.
Go back.
Yes.
Always cutting good grass.